first, I think like when you fear God, that's how you become wise. And I realize it's about having reverence. It's about having respect to God.
Yeah.
Just like, do you have a sense of respect and reverence to doctors, right? To your parents, right? And sometimes it's like when you become a parent, it's not always about the gentle love. It's about sometimes you just gotta be showing that tough love, right?
Yeah.
Just like, why would God show you go through the tough storms? It's because that's that pruning season. That's tough love. That ain't gentle love for sure, right? Hey everyone, welcome to season 2, episode 12 of the Late Thoughts podcast. It's your host, Jonathan. I know I got a fresh cut. I look so fly right now. You don't have to thank me. You're welcome, because Zeke just complimented me earlier by saying my calves are nice. I don't know why guys like to talk about calves a lot. This is getting weird. But we have Christy on the podcast, and it's this is weird. Not gonna lie, not in a bad way, but it's just that this is our first time meeting, and we went to the same high school.
Yes.
So I just want to ask, what made you want to be on this podcast? I just truly want to know.
So I think that a couple months ago, or like last year, I shared my sexual assault story on my Instagram, and then someone told me that you have a podcast. And then he was telling me that, like, oh, you should ask Jonathan if you could share your story on his podcast, because it might be fun. It might be like cool. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, why not? So I DM'd you, and we never really even talked in high school. So
we never. I was like, is this a bot? Low-key, I was like, is this a bot? I was like, okay, it's just real.
I was just like, does he remember me? And then you did, and then you were like, oh, season 1 just finished, so I'll invite you for season 2. So now I'm here. You know, it's been since August.
It's been August.
I think September, that was kind of like the time I asked. Yeah. And so right now it's June. So it's been a couple months.
We wanted to take a break because when we had like Johnny Chain on and Danny Park for season 1, I personally just wanted to. I already said this in the episode we had with Josh, but I was like, how can I honor this for God, right? Yeah. Because I wanted to connect with the works I do, whether it's career, but it has to be, my goals has to be aligned with God's mission. Yes. Right? Whether it's spreading his will or knowing his will, spreading testimonies. Yeah. Or it could be just simply like, reading Book of Mark or Matthew, finding the desolate place, talk about John the Baptist. It could be anything, right? Yeah. And just also inviting people who aren't Christians and just like letting them know, like, hey, this is my experience. And, I didn't even know you were Christian at the same time. And then when we called, I was like, what are we going to talk about? Like, are we talking, like, what's been going on, Because we never talked, we never talked. And I was like, okay, what's this going to be about? And then you share some of the things that we might jump in today. Yeah. But also, like, you asked about, or you were talking about, like, your church. Yeah. Something like that. So how's that, like, coming along or what?
So the thing is, I am really glad that you switched it to this month instead of last month. Because originally we planned to do it last month. But I'm really, really glad that it became this month instead. Because during that time, when we called, I didn't find a church yet still, like my community. Yeah. And like, I think around 8 weeks ago, I've been counting, I went to a church called Seeds of Life. Cool. And I absolutely love it. I love the community that I found. I go to the life groups and everything. And it's honestly just been like a super amazing experience. I've become a lot closer to God. Honestly, that's how I found my boyfriend currently and everything. So I'm in a relationship right now. Okay. And so it's just
what's his name? Plug his name.
Mark.
Mark. Hey, Book of Mark. Whoa. Yo, Book of Mark.
Yeah, so it's like just I think that so much has changed in the span of a month, or 2. And like right now, you like just being here, I feel like I'm a lot more prepared than I was if you asked me last month to come. And I've shared my stories and my testimonies at life groups. I've done all of that with Young Life. Like, we have all of these little activities and settings that we have where we share a lot about ourselves. And so, like, I think because I did all of that before coming here, it kind of prepared me to do this, because this is more like live and more like open. It's like more public.
Is it intimidating to have 3 cameras on you?
Not really. Okay, so good. Actually, like, I was really bored in, like, I think November or something of last year, and I was like, I really want to go down backstage to see if I can, like, be like just even in the background or something, be in like a small like episode or show or something, right? There was a student film that was happening, and they actually asked me to be the main character, and there were like multiple cameras left and right. And so, and then we were in Palm Springs filming it, and like in this car and stuff, and so like I did that.
Damn.
And so I'm kind of okay with cameras. That's why, like I told you, I'm not nervous.
If I did that, I'd probably pee myself. Not gonna lie. Like having done in Palm Springs, that's hot.
No, it was not hot because it was November.
Oh, okay, it was pretty chill then.
Yeah, it was fine.
Because if it was like in the summer, I'll be like dreading. I'll be like, where's water? I need some holy water right now. Holy water. No, it's just that when when you messaged to be on the podcast, I low-key was just like going through like a lot of dry seasons, a lot of pruning seasons, but understanding where does my identity aligns with God, right? Yeah. And I think that when you have a personal testimony with your relation with God, I think there are going to be moments you question your own selves with your relation with God, because you're going to go through pruning seasons, like I said before, but you're going to go through things like, oh, is this where I'm supposed to be at? Is this where God wants me to do? Am I honoring him in that light? So I'm just curious, as someone who, you're in business, right?
I am.
Yeah, so like, is it hard to find or navigate your understanding of your relationship with God in that business realm? I don't know if
that's a really good question, because
she said it's a very good question. Let's go. Josh said that too. Thank you.
Because I think in the beginning, which is literally like January, I wanted to work in corporate. I thought that was like my route. When I graduated, I landed this corporate job, and I went to the East Coast. They flew me to the East Coast, gave me an apartment, everything, and it was really good benefits and stuff, right? And I thought that was what God wanted me to do, something stable, far away from home, because at that time I didn't want to be with my mom. My mom and I's relationship was really, really bad, and the first thing I wanted to do was just literally move out. That was the first thing I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I think that when I got there, what happened was I felt like I was so isolated, and I was so alone and lonely, and I was like, I didn't know how much I needed my mom. Even though our relationship was so bad, I didn't know how much I needed her. And so I prayed to God, telling him, like, I don't want to be here. How do I get out? Do I quit? And I called my professor, his name is Mario, and I asked him, I was like, can I quit? Should I quit? He's like, no. Any person would die for this opportunity to move to the East Coast, full furnished apartment, and you get like this full benefits, everything. You get a really good mentor, and you get to be in the East Coast. You get to like live a new life almost. And he was like, don't quit. But all of a sudden, like I think it was like 2 or 3 days after my prayer, all of a sudden there was mass layoffs, and I got laid off. So I got severance coming back home. They flew me back home, right? And I was just like, thank God, because I didn't know how to quit. Like when you work corporate, especially when first couple of months, like 2 months of being there, quitting the job, it makes you look really, really bad, especially if they flew you over there and spent so much money investing in such a young person, right? And so when they laid me off, it felt perfect. It felt like God wanted me to go home, and because I really wanted to go home. But when I got back, that was when everything kind of crashed like down, and is when all the sexual assault and everything happened, because I networked with the wrong people and everything. And I just felt like like Satan was doing a lot in my life actually instead of God, but God let it happen and to make me stronger. So like now reflecting back, I felt like God wanted me to become stronger, to reflect and to share my stories now that I've been through everything that I've been through. And so like I feel like God's always been there, but it's just kind of listening to him and really understanding that like he has been standing next to me and holding my hand through everything. It took me a while. It definitely did. But I always sensed it. It's like the current thing that I'm doing, which is opening my business. I definitely don't think I could have it without God. Like, just, I can't even explain how many times I felt his presence telling me that, like, this is the next step. Or, like, he'll be sending people to me to tell me, this is the next step in business for you. This is the next thing you need to do. Don't worry about this. This is too soon. Be patient. Like, even though, I feel like I think that's Mark, my boyfriend, said, I have a sensitive spirit. And so, like, I connect with him in a way, like God, in a way where, like, I can sense when he's telling me to do something, when he's telling me to rest, and when he's telling me to go. So it's like, lately, every day, I've been feeling like, even today, you know, I've been feeling like he's just telling me that today, this is what you're supposed to do. Tomorrow, I have things set. If you feel like you're not doing anything, just wait. I have it planned for you. So like I feel like it's not just business that he's within, it's literally my relationship right now. It's when I found my community with my mom right now, our relationship is so good. Like it's so amazing. Like, and I just think that he's really, really been through everything with me recently and telling me that like this is for you, and even though you've been through so much pain, I know that I've helped you heal through it, and that now it's your time to just share it to help others. Like I feel like that's been my calling lately, to really share the burdens and all of these struggles I've been through to help other people, especially at 23. I think that I've been through a lot at 23 years old. And so I think that it's not just business that God's within, like me, spiritually. It's with everything in my life, you know? So, yeah. I didn't answer it directly.
Oh, no, you're good.
But I think that was the best way for me.
I mean, as long you're honest.
Answer that question.
You know, as long you're honest, that's what matters. I think that, like, what's coming right now is that technically it's like you're planting seeds, you know?
Yeah.
A small seed of faith can move mountains, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we, as followers of Christ or brothers and sisters in Christ, we kind of doubt God how much he can do of so little of what we have. And I think when you shared about you going back home,
I
want to talk about the home part. What do you think during that time when you flew back at home, right? Like, what were some of the questions you were asking God during that time, if you don't mind me asking?
The first one that came to mind, because I was with my ex at the time. I didn't ask God, but I asked myself. I was asking myself, is this the right relationship for me? That was the first question to myself. The first question to God was, what now? Because I thought that my life was almost too good to be true moving to East Coast. That was kind of how it felt. And then when I moved back home, it felt like everything crashed down. So I'm like, God, what now? What do I do? I'm like, I just graduated thinking that I have everything planned out. Now I have no job. I'm not in a relationship I'm happy in. And my mom is confused a little bit. And I'm just so lost. But the prayer, that question got answered extremely quickly. Like literally within like, I think 2 or 3 weeks actually. All I did was go back to Chapman, my college, and I got handed this book, and I networked with the author, David Meltzer, and everything just happened because he was a thought leader, so he's very inspirational, and he's an entrepreneur, so he taught me how to be a good entrepreneur, how to be careful, and how to also make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. And I think that, like, when I ask God questions, he answers it in the way where I would never expect, ever. And now sometimes I think I don't even ask him questions. I just let him run. Just like, whatever you want, just control it. I don't even plan. I just kind of sense what might happen, just logically. But even if it doesn't happen, I'm okay. That's kind of like how I've lived my life so far lately. But yeah, I think the first question I had was like, what now, God? What do I do? I feel like I'm so like just torn apart. Like I have no idea what's going on. Because I put God back in my life after I ended my relationship with my ex, and after the sexual assault, all of it. During my healing period, that was when I put him back into my life, and like really like let him heal me and help me with the people he was sending me and everything. So
yeah, it's I relate to that, you know, because like after when we finished season 1, I was just going through like I was like similar boats in your shoes, because I was like, oh, I found a new church. My brothers and sisters were tight like that, reading the word, and I was just on a roll, right? And then something happens, right? And then I'm like, I was sick, fainted 2 times in the restroom. I was like, bro, what's going on, right? I low-key was like, why is this happening to me? Yeah. And I was thinking about in the book of Job, and I said this in Josh's episode, but like Job was like going through a lot of things. Lost his kids, animals, housing, all that was gone.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes God allows these things to happen, not because he despise us, because God never forsake us, right?
Yes.
But it's like, it's because he has so much faith in you that, hey, we're good. Yeah. We're good. You're just going through this because I want to teach you something, right?
Yeah.
And
he will never give us something, right, that we can't handle. That's another thing. Because like this example you're like, or this passage you're talking about, literally my boyfriend talked about it to me. And yes, a couple weeks ago.
Holy Spirit.
And he was telling me that like you can have everything, and all of a sudden God will let bad things happen to build you, make you stronger. Yeah. And then so you can relate to others, you can help others, and you can go through a lot of struggles, and you will be a lot stronger. You know, you will go through everything a little bit better, and then when things get better, just anticipate something bad might happen again, just to build you again. Yeah. I feel like each time you're stronger, you welcome it a lot better. New challenges, new changes. So it's like, it's a good passage.
Yeah,
I love that passage.
I cried. Yeah. I was like, whoa, your friend sucks, Job. I was like, you need to find new friends. It's just, and it's funny that we're talking about that. It's because like you talked about like, oh, you found your church, right? You found your community of brothers and sisters. Is that like, I think that wouldn't happen if it wasn't for the storms and the seas you went through, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know if this is okay to ask, but like, I want to touch about the ex-boyfriend and that relationship part. Is that like, because at the end of the day, I truly believe like, for me, I want to be in a holy relationship. I want to be in a fruitful relationship, in a godly-centered relationship. Yeah. So like, was it difficult to find your one-on-one relationship with God after that breakup?
I think that
I'm sorry if that's rude. I don't know. I just wanted to ask that question.
No, I needed a little bit of time to think. But after the relationship, I became closer to God. Okay. During the relationship, I was far away from God. Yeah, because he was not a believer. And I think that I was so wrapped up in the idea of love and wanting something. Because growing up as an only child with a single mother, when I date, I hope that whoever I'm with will become my husband or something that is really, really long term. And that was kind of like the hope I had with him. But the thing is, because my faith was not super strong, that was the first thing, actually, when I got in the relationship. It was very easy to feel separated from God with someone that was not Christian. And so during the whole entire relationship, on social media, we looked very, very happy. And I think towards the end, when I kind of saw all of the lies and everything, I was like kind of just heartbroken. Because, and also when his parents yelled at me when I visited them, I think that all of that, I just started thinking to myself, like, if I had a godly relationship, maybe a family that was in Christ, that had raised a child with Christ, it would be very different. And the way everything was handled, there wouldn't be so many lies that were told within that family. And I have no idea if I've been lied to as well with that relationship. And so during the relationship, definitely God was not in it. It was not fruitful. God was not in the center of any conversations we were having. And I, looking back, that honestly, like, I don't regret it, because it helped me learn a lot, and it helps me now to appreciate the relationship I have. And so it's like, because currently I have a relationship with God in the center, and I think it's amazing. You know, like literally last night before he prayed with me through this. He's praying right now, probably. So it's like, I think that's amazing. And he's the one that brought me to Seeds of Life. And yeah, it's like bringing me to a community that I've always wanted. You know, everything. It's just, it's so different. So I think that I definitely recommend it. A relationship with Christ, centered relationship. Definitely, it's amazing. I definitely recommend. You pray for each other, you know, and you pray just through a lot of trials you guys go through when there are trials. Definitely recommend it.
It's what did you think what godly centered relationship was when you were in that relationship then?
Sorry, repeat that.
Like, what did you think like a godly centered relationship was when you were with your ex? Did you have some sort of like firm like understanding what that was? Or
I think that like years or like months before meeting him, I had a spiritual guidance counselor that would always meet me once a week, and she had an amazing relationship. I almost looked up to it in a way. And I thought that they had such a lovely relationship where they were equally yoked, you know, and they just always brought each other up. Even though he was so much younger than her, like they're so full of love and so much kindness and like just everything. Because she's such a warm spirit. Like she's so holy and lovely, you know. And my relationship, on the other hand, I think that I wanted all these things, but for me, when I commit, I commit. I remember the day before he asked me to be his girlfriend, I knew, and I even called a friend of mine and said that, like, I don't think that he's the right one. But I was so wrapped up in all the romance, because he's so romantic.
It's always romantic in the beginning, though. It's always romantic in the beginning.
No, he was romantic throughout the whole entire relationship.
Entire?
Like, walking into the apartment, rose petals all the way to the bathtub and drawing me a bath.
They actually look like trash.
Like omakase dinners that he would cut up. He would cut up the omakase fish. He would buy fresh fish and he'll make it and put it on the counter. And he'll buy a bunch of roses and bouquets, everything. So he was a romantic, and it's for me. It was. I got so wrapped up in all of it, and he just knows exactly how to plan perfect dates. You know, we did so many like nicknames, and we spent so much time together trying all these restaurants. You know, I got invited to a bunch of restaurants. He would always join me. We would dress super nice. Like when we went to Vegas, I had this like really nice dress on, and he would wear like a tuxedo, and everyone would be looking at us. Like it was just like the kind of like romance and movie like kind of feels. I got really wrapped up in all of that like God was just out of the picture and I just didn't even think about it. But towards the end, I think 8 months in, when I was about to graduate, that was when everything hit me more, because I missed my spiritual guidance counselor. All of a sudden I was like, I went through a whole year without seeing her once. Maybe I saw her once or twice. And I think all of a sudden, when I saw her before I graduated, I was like, I feel like a completely different person. What happened to me? I haven't prayed in so long. And when she prayed with me, I was like, I was speechless. I forgot how to pray. And I was going through a lot of trials with him in a way that was not good. Because, like, I wanted to break things off before I moved to the East Coast. And he wanted to move there with me. And I think that, like, because he didn't want to be apart from me. And I remember there was this one fight that we had where I was screaming, kind of, like, combined. Because he didn't understand me. He didn't let me be free. He didn't trust me. And so I think that it was just really, really difficult being with him towards the end when I didn't care about the romance anymore. I just wanted to feel loved and safe and that safety, you know. And with a relationship with Christ, there's a lot of trust. There's a lot of trust with your partner. There's a lot of trust that God is in the relationship, that, like, if you set them free a little bit, that they'll always come back because they're yours. You'll have that sense, that feeling, you know. But I didn't have that. And it was really, really difficult. And so, but as those fights happened, I started questioning it, and I started becoming closer and questioning if I need God. I started calling my guidance counselor on the phone, and I started asking my mentors that had Christian, like, that was spiritual and everything, Christianity, everything. And I started talking to them. And one of them, his name's Chris Pagel. He's actually a pastor now. He got his, like, credentials and everything. He told me that we weren't equally yoked. And he shared with me that because his wife and him are equally yoked, that the relationship's very prosperous and they grow in love. Instead of falling in love, they grow in love, you know? And so he was talking about all of that with me before I broke up with him. And I was like, I want that. I wish I had that. Someone that always wants family. What am I doing? I'm doing everything wrong, you know? And so I started thinking to myself that I really need a Christ-centered relationship.
Right.
Yeah, but I didn't have one. And not having one now, I appreciate it so much more. Yeah. So
I get you. Yeah. I'm like, you know, with my past relationship, I was definitely not godly centered. I would just be real. But, like, one thing, like, constantly I just been praying about, I'm not saying, like, I don't want you to be in a godly centered relationship. I do, but then I feel like for me personally, I just been saying that, like, I'm trying to just truly understand what it means to have a honest and faithful covenant relationship with God, because you and God is a solely relationship already, right? So for me, like, God already knows my biggest desires is to have my own family, have my own kids, and 2 dogs. I love huskies. I don't know, if they're so fluffy, I cry, you know.
They'll buy all your shoes.
Yeah, if they buy my shoes, I'll be like, oh my gosh, you're my dog, but I still love you, you know. And it's just that, like I already put that, surrendered that to God, right? My career, you can have it. Money, you can have that, right? As long you and I are constantly, which he is always in. And I'm like, I'm at this point every single day, is that, like, I don't even say every single day, because I'm gonna be real, some days I'm just, like, tired. But then there's moments that I'm like, man, what's a covenant relationship with God, right? Because I cannot have a fruitful friendship or fruitful relationship if I'm not even desiring my relationship with God. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
And if we're so focused on me and Zeke or me and Lisa, I'm like, yo, where's God? Where's my relationship with God? You know, and I've been questioning that when that pruning season, like I said, you know, I'm like, yo, God's like the only one I can truly just put my full faith and full throttle on.
Yeah.
Because not only he knows my thoughts, not only he knows my feelings, but he knows the beginning, end to the end, and to the middle. All my trials, all the mistakes, and all the mistakes and trials and the sins have been washed away by his blood, right? Yeah. All past, present, future sins already been forgiven, right? Yeah. How can I truly be understanding that word and living it out every single day? Is it easy? No, it's not. That's why you pray, right? You pray in gratitude, you pray in supplication, and that's where your spiritual relationship with God grows, right?
Yeah.
And when you think of God and Jesus as not only a Lord and Savior, but think as a teacher, as a best friend. I think for me personally, I've been seeing it as like, oh, he just wants to get to know me. He wants to have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
And for me, like, I think that's it. That's the covenant.
Yeah.
What's a covenant in your relationship with your friends, right? Are they holy? And if not, it's not necessarily bad. What can you do? You know?
What I do is I show my kindness.
Yeah.
And I show my love.
Right.
So a lot of people, I'm being very generic, of course.
Yeah,
Not everyone's the same, but a lot of people that don't have Christ in their life, they have a lot of struggles.
Right.
And they don't know how to get through them.
Right.
And for me, especially when I have friends that are kind of like that, I just show my kindness and my love. The love that I've learned through my community and the love that I've learned through the Bible and Christ and my relationship with Christ. And I share that with them, and I'm there for them because God is there for us. So that's kind of like what I do when I have a friend that doesn't really have Christ in their life. Most of my friends are at least a little bit spiritual, but not all of them are Christian for sure. So yeah, that's kind of like what I do. What do you do?
Does that, like, it's funny that you mentioned that. I was like literally talking to Zeke, Alyssa, and Nathan. Is that like that saying is like, who you surround yourself is literally who you are, right? Is that like, do you see yourself finding friends who are healthy for you nowadays because of your relationship gotten closer with God?
I don't know why. I don't completely agree with that statement.
Good. Okay. Interesting.
Because I've always grown up so independent that I've never enjoyed being in groups.
Okay.
I feel like that statement's a little bit more true with people that have a group as a group of friends.
Okay.
Because then they all get along very well together, right? But for me, I've always been like one-on-ones. All my friends are very like one-on-one, and they're all very different from each other. Extremely different from each other. Actually, there's no two friends that are very alike for me. So it's like, then what does that mean for me? Maybe I'm just very diverse. Maybe that's my personality. Then that doesn't really make sense because then all my friends are so different from each other that it's like, I don't know if they'll get along in the same room.
Oh yeah. True.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know how that statement relates to me, if I'm being honest, because I've never felt that statement very relatable to me. I just feel like I'm very friendly, but I choose my friends very wisely. And yeah, I don't know. I think that I don't really relate to that statement for sure.
Do you like, first, I think like when you fear God, that's how you become wise, right? So I'm just curious, like, with your faith and your relationship with God, like, what does fear of God mean to you? Well, like, what does that, when you first learned that, like, what was your first initial reactions? What does that initial state of just like fear of God mean to you then? Man, we're going deep. We're going deep on that one.
I think the first time I heard fear of God, I was like, I'm fearful of everything.
I'm fearful of spiders. I'm fearful of heights.
Okay, I'm not fearful of those.
What? You like roller coasters?
I love roller coasters.
You crazy.
I kill spiders all the time. My mom is scared of spiders. I'm not scared of bugs, like bees, everything. I'm okay with all that. What I mean by fear of everything is I'm feared of people. I'm feared of people. And things I can't control, like the environment, the economy, all of those things, and the future. I can't see it, I'm fearful of all of those things.
Okay.
And I think when I heard fear of God,
right,
I was like, oh my gosh, there's another thing I have to be fearful of.
I get that.
But God that doesn't make sense. That statement for me, I was like, why would I be fearful of God when I love him so much? That was the second thing that clicked into my mind. I was like, wait, fear of God, what? And then, but I love God. That doesn't make sense. So when I heard that statement, that was my reaction, actually.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm fearful of everything that's not God. So how am I fearful of him as well? So I was actually confused when I first heard that statement.
Same.
Yeah. It's because, like, there's a lot of people that's hurt me. Like, when we went to the same high school, I got bullied a lot in high school. I don't know if you heard rumors about me, but it was like, I was a whole mess at TC. And coming out of TC, I was like, I'm fearful of everything. I was bullied like crazy. My group was not the best and everything. And I just was fearful of people, definitely. And then fearful of the future. I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't even want to go to college, you know. And so I was fearful of everything, but I was never fearful of God. So when I heard that statement, I was like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's... Yeah, I relate to you on that.
Yeah.
You know, when I first saw that fear of God is, well, like the beginning of God. Fear of God is like the beginning of wisdom, something like that. Yes. I'm gonna put it on the video or something.
Yeah.
But it's just like, and I realize it's about having reverence. It's about having respect to God, right? It's not about like, oh my gosh, you know. But it's more like, do you have a sense of respect and have a sense of reverence to God?
Yeah.
Just like, do you have a sense of respect and reverence to doctors, right? To your parents, right? And sometimes it's like, when you become a parent, it's not always about the gentle love. It's about, sometimes you just gotta be showing that tough love, right?
Yeah.
Just like, why would God show you go through the tough storms? It's because that's that pruning season. That's tough love. That ain't gentle love for sure, right? So it's just like, when you build your relationship with God, there's so many chapters, there's so many stories, and that's why testimonies are created every day, right?
Yeah.
So like, when you started realizing, oh, God is like creating a testimony in my life, when did you first started to understand what a testimony is, and when did you start accepting the fact that, oh, God is starting this right now?
Last week.
Oh, for real? Damn. I mean, like, okay, we're starting. Okay.
Oh, gosh. So last week we had Young Life at Seeds of Life. We're like only under 30 years old, you know. And that day, oh my gosh, it was Friday. Yeah. It was Friday of last week. Wow. Feels like so long ago. And there was questions on the board. The first one is, how was your life before God? How is your life during God? And how is your life after God? But there's a lot of sub questions as well. And I was like, I haven't reflected on this. This is gonna be hard. And we're in like our mini groups and everything. And I was like, I've never even really shared my testimony before. And I'm supposed to share in this group of people that I barely even know.
And this was last week?
This was last week on Friday.
Okay.
And I was like, I think at the moment I'm in the in between of during God and after God. I'm at the very between of that and towards like after God, that kind of feeling. And it's because I feel like I've welcomed God into my life fully, but it's only really been like a year. And I literally graduated a year ago. So it's like truly welcoming him and understanding everything and like seeing that my life is very Christ-centered now. I'm still not at the point where I fully feel like I'm after God, like that period yet, but I'm definitely at the during God period where I'm kind of inching towards that. And so like what happened was like after I shared some of my testimony about like things that happened and how I literally enrolled myself into like a mental hospital because I felt very suicidal at one point in my life after the first time I got sexually assaulted, and sharing and pouring out all of these things through the Holy Spirit, and I felt it, like I really felt it, like I would never share stuff like that ever, but like being in that setting I was sharing things, like I was like, oh my gosh. And that when I walked out of that room that day, everything rushed in my brain, because at the end of the day I'm human, and I was like just in complete shock that I shared all of that. It was almost felt like I had like an out of body experience where I shared everything and I was not ready, but I'm pretty sure it was like the Holy Spirit literally working in me to share everything. And I was like shocked because I heard everything I had shared, and what happened was like I didn't want to talk, and I was so sad. I was so sad and depressed the next day. And then I was like, I told my mom I need a drink. And I was like, and I made a drink, like a very light drink for my mom and I. And my mom usually goes to bed pretty early, but she stayed up with me and we talked and we cried. We cried because within 1 year after graduating, I've been through, I gotta say, hell. I did. It was so hard. You know, I went through so many things that like everything hit me because I shared some of it, just some of it. Like, my testimony is a whole entire year that for some people might go through for 3 years or maybe more. But it all happened in a year. And then that night, I was like, I need to get out of LA just for a bit. And so I booked a last minute, just a spontaneous trip to San Diego. And I drove myself to San Diego the next morning. I brought my dog with me, Penny. And I went to San Diego. I had an Airbnb and everything. But in the morning of, I was just like, hold up. I'm going to San Diego. Did I really think this through? Right. And so I tried to rebook the Airbnb. I was like, I can do a day trip and come back at night. You know, I can set it for another day. But apparently, the night I booked was the cheapest night of any night.
Oh, you gotta go.
And
you gotta go if it's cheap.
Every night was like $300, $400 for that room. It was like a back house, all decked out.
Yeah.
And I paid $100, $110. But every night, if you booked any night, it would be like $300, $400. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And so I got a great deal, and I didn't plan anything.
Okay.
And actually, I was trying to avoid every spot I went to with my ex. Okay. Because I've been there with my ex. Okay.
Hey, I would too. I'd be like, I can't go anywhere. I can't go anywhere. I just stay in my room. I can't.
So what happened was I went to Laguna first. I was like, it's almost a 2-hour trip there. So I went to Laguna first. Brought Penny with me. Penny was so amazing. Like, she was very calm. Everyone was playing around with her. I was like, and I wasn't talking to anyone. I just wanted to be silent. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I usually love interacting with people and stuff. And then I started driving San Diego, and all of a sudden I saw View Spot. I was like, oh, great. So I pull out to the view spot, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then Penny was trying to chase all the squirrels, and I was just seeing my little puppy, like, she's like a little girl, you know. And I saw her, and she was like trying to play with the squirrels. I'm like, oh, this is so amazing. I was enjoying the view with my dog, you know. And then I was like, I need to charge my car because I drive a Tesla. And then so I was like trying to find a charging spot, and then I navigated to a charging spot, and then when I got there, it was completely full. There was a huge line, and then there's another one that was 5 minutes away, and then when I got there, it was a mall. I was like, wow, a mall. I didn't even know there was a mall here. So I feel like the whole entire trip isn't planned. God planned it. And I needed to get an outfit and stuff for my trip next week to to New York, because I'm going to a fancy food show, and I didn't have any outfits yet. So it was a great opportunity for me to buy clothes. And coincidentally, they were having a huge sale that only happened, and that was the last day it was happening. I tried to go back the other day. I was like, oh, that was the last day. Sunday was the last day it was happening. And I got $200 worth of like shopping credits, because it was like, buy this much, you get this, like the tiers of how much money you get back. And I was just like, so you're saying that literally timing, sometimes I can't tell if it's God or timing, but it was just so like planned and set, right? But something did happen. So after I shopped, I think I was carrying way too many things and Penny at the same time. I fell head on. And my knee is scraped. That's why I'm wearing a long skirt. So my knee is scraped. I'm bruised. Like, my whole body fell to the ground. But timing wise, there's a person that was standing right behind me. She picked me up immediately. Like, someone and everyone was rolling down their car window saying, are you okay? And stuff. It's like, even when these things happen, I just think that God is there. Someone picked me up immediately after I fell. You know, I didn't stay on the ground by myself for a second. And after that, I went back into my car. I have a first aid kit, so I just patched myself up, disinfected and everything. And I was like, you know what? I can't go anywhere. I was gonna go to Balboa Park, you know. And I was like, you know what? I can't go there. So I ate at one of the restaurants, and I ate at the bar. And the bartender was talking to me, and he was recommending me a great view spot for me for sunset. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. There's sunset. You know, I wasn't planning anything. So it was like, go to Sunset Cliff, you know. And I went. I was about to not go because my knee was hurting like crazy. It was like just like tingling, you know, like it hurt. And then I forced myself to go. I was like, I think I should go. I get there, and the view is so amazing. I've never seen such a beautiful sunset with the waters crashing. No, I didn't. I didn't.
I will cry.
I didn't cry.
That's too deep. I'm sorry. That was just me.
I didn't cry. But I was hugging Penny because I was cold. And then people were saying, oh, she's warm, isn't she? I was like, she is. And I think I could cry now, but like, I was just taking everything in.
I mean, we got tissues for that.
I know. But I was taking everything in. I was hugging her, and she's literally my daughter. I think that she's so amazing. She's so much like me. She's very friendly, welcoming. And and then afterwards I carried her back in the car and I went to the Airbnb. Wow, the Airbnb was so beautiful. All the starry lights that was decked out in the back with the grill and the benches and the hammock. I was like, yes, I'm on the hammock. It was just, and then there's a huge like painting that painted it, hand painted San Diego on it and stuff. And it was just the grass, everything. And it was dog friendly, you know. And then Penny finally got to eat. She didn't want to eat the whole entire time. I tried to feed her so many times. She finally ate when we got there. And I don't know, I just feel like that trip. And then afterwards at night, Mark called me. And
Mark is the boyfriend. Mark is the boyfriend.
And
Mark,
he was
I'm sorry, Mark. I got to put you on. I don't know what you look like, but you're in a book of Mark. Maybe handsome, most likely. God-fearing man. I'm just saying.
He basically was like, you scared the crap out of me. He was like, why did you leave? And I tried to like not share my location with him. He was just like, he's like, am I allowed to be mad? And I was just like, yes. He was like, I am so mad at you.
I mean, the fact that he asked, I
know, but he was like, I know you're going through a lot, but I am so mad at you. You tried to not share your location. I thought you were going to jump off a cliff or something. He was so mad at me because he was so scared.
How did you feel when he asked you that then?
He was thinking, I was like, that is so sweet. Because he was trying to put me first at the end of the day, you know? And I was just like, I know, and I'm sorry. And it's like, I just really had to do this. He was like, next time, bring me with you. And I was telling him, I can't bring you with me. I need times where I just have to isolate and be away from the world. And
that's
just
a desolate place.
I need that. Place. I need that. You know, I need to. And I was like, if you were with me, even if you didn't talk, I would still think of you first. I was like, I can't put myself first when there's someone else in the same room as me or in the same setting. And so I was like, I know that you want to be there, but I need time to myself. Something just happened where I needed to just isolate. Yeah. And I am so happy that you let me do this, because in my last relationship, he would have never let me. And so, yeah, when we called, and then afterwards he asked me, how was your talk with your mom? And I was like, we both cried, and I just shared a lot with him. And I was just like, this relationship is so amazing. And I think that it's just so amazing. And he always puts me first. And and I think that call went really, really well. It ended with us sharing what we like about each other. Lots of words of affirmation before we went to bed.
Is that like one of your top?
His.
Oh, is
not mine.
Wait, what's yours then?
Mine is quality time.
My
first is quality time.
And then his words of affirmation?
Yeah, his is words of affirmation.
Good job, Mark. You're doing great, man. I don't even know who you are, but you're doing great. I love you, man. Keep it up. He'd probably be like,
you should meet him. Maybe he should sit here next.
I'll be like, hi, Mark. You're such a good dude. Okay, I feel like we're talking to him like a dog.
I'm his first relationship. I'm his first date.
Oh.
So you can talk to him if you want.
I'll be like, yo, what up, dog? How you doing, homie? And he's gonna be like, why is he calling me homie? I don't even know him like that. No, I think
you can have us both sit here too.
Yeah,
if you
I'm gonna
want.
be like, imagine you're the third wheeler. I'll be like, yo, what's up, Mark?
No, because we went through like a whole month of trial. It was just if it was trial after trial after trial after trial. I tried to break it up. He tried to break it up. Yes, it was literally last month. We literally felt like a whole year, but it was literally last month. Trial after trial after trial, literally.
Right.
We were saying that we're being spiritually attacked nonstop. And then all of a sudden at the 1 month day, we just felt like everything went away, and now we're finally in a relationship. I was the one that asked him to be my boyfriend.
Oh, damn.
I was the one. How did
he react? I would like to know.
He was like so shocked.
Was he blushing?
He was definitely blushing.
Okay, Mark.
And I took him to a really nice park, and we walked for a while.
Okay,
it was after he took his LSAT too. He took his LSAT. He was so stressed and everything, and I was like, I drove him from his LSAT to the park, and I walked him.
You drove him too? Oh, Mark, okay.
I walked him.
Mark, I see you.
I walked him to the park, one of the benches that I thought was really nice, and then because he started this thing where he wanted us to write letters to each other in a journal.
He wanted to.
He started it. So when the first entry I wrote, I was like, I'm so ready to be his girlfriend. So I was the one that wrote a whole thing, words of affirmation. He loves it, right? Wrote how amazing he is and how every trial we went through and everything, that God is center in our relationship. I wrote everything, right? And I wrote it, and then I read it to him. So I read it to him, and then at the very end, I was like, will you be my boyfriend, Mark? And then he was just like, I would be honored. And then afterwards, because I put in my tote bag like pens and colored pencils and a Polaroid camera and a Polaroid printer and everything. So we ended up putting the Polaroid picture. We took a selfie next to each other. We have matching hats and everything. We took a selfie next to each other. And then we printed it, because it's a printer, right? Printed it. We drew the setting near us, and he colored it official. I wrote the big bold official, and he colored it. I drew a squirrel and everything. So we have a page of that the day of, and even the time. And we put it in the journal. And then I had him write after, and he wrote that I didn't know all of this was happening today. I took the LSAT, and then now I'm someone's like boyfriend, and he wrote it after. And I just love that he writes. Like I don't know many guys that write, but he wrote. And then
hey, Mark is a scribe. Mark is a scribe. What up, Mark? You're a scribe now.
Yeah, but it was just, it's because like what happened, why I asked him was because a week after, actually like 5 days, I think, no, 9, I don't know how many days, I think it was 9 days after our first date, he asked me to be his girlfriend because I went on a date with someone else.
Oh, Mark,
and he was
you win. You win.
So,
I don't know what to say about that one.
He was so anxious.
Dude, I would too. If I went on a date with a girl and then she'd be like, I'm going on a date with, I'll be like, I'm so sorry. No, this is why this is why if I ever go on a date, on the first date, I don't pour out my heart. I give you only my 10% or 20% of my heart. I don't go all out. See, I'm very cautious of what I share.
Okay, so I went on a date, with someone else, and I told him about it before I even went.
How did he react?
He let me. He was like, he let me go. He let me go.
But his heart was like, why?
I didn't even want to go.
Oh, you didn't want to go?
I didn't want to go, but I already had it planned. That I was curious if I could even be friends with this person, because he spoke Cantonese, and I've always wanted someone that was Cantonese as my partner.
Got it.
Just because like I feel like I'm losing half of myself if that person doesn't speak Cantonese, right?
Yeah.
But Mark's learning Cantonese, so just saying.
I got you. I got you.
But so I went on that date, and even the moment I saw him, I was like, this guy's not it. I want to go to Mark. I
feel bad for that dude, bro. He'd probably be a good guy, a solid guy. He'd be like, what did I do? He probably was like, what did I do? I'm so sorry.
So he like we went out and stuff, and I try to talk about God. I try to talk about my spirituality. I try to talk about it, right? He could not relate at all, because he was not. He wasn't Christian.
He wasn't like that. Okay.
And for me, I just got so much value. Oh, I prayed before I even went.
You prayed before?
I prayed before I even went on a date. I was like, God, I already have a feeling that is not a good date.
Okay.
But just show me clarity.
Yeah.
Just show me clarity. I got so much clarity that just Mark was my guy after, you know? So I texted Mark. I was like, can I see you? Like after the date. I was like,
after the date. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, can I see you? Like, I really need to see you, you know? He was like, yes, of course. Because we live like 12 minutes from each other. Love that, by the way.
Hey,
like
that's 12 minutes. That's 12 minutes, though.
So we meet up, and like he was like telling me, I was like, I didn't know how to start. He was like, Christy, will you be my girlfriend? He was like, you needed to secure this. You needed to secure this.
Oh, he asked you that?
Yeah, and then I was like,
I love you, Mark.
I was like, Mark,
let's
we're in
go.
a parking lot, and but then I had 12 questions written.
Wait, say what? Wait, what? You
I had 12 questions
were
written.
you interviewing him? Don't tell me you were interviewing that boy.
I had 12
Hey, Mark,
questions.
if she didn't say this, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm looking at the camera, Mark. If you see this, I'm so sorry for you. 12 questions. Man.
I had 12 questions written. I don't remember the questions anymore, but I had 12 questions written to him.
You interviewed that boy.
I did.
My gosh.
I did.
Wow.
It was everything, like premarital sex, everything you can think of. 12 questions. I even looked stuff up online.
Well,
12 questions.
What, you looked at from BuzzFeed? I bet you looked at one of them from BuzzFeed.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did not. But it was I've never had a Christ-centered relationship.
Okay.
So I wanted to be prepared for it.
Okay.
And so, I don't know, I had a sense, I had a feeling he was going to ask me anyways.
Okay.
And so I did that, you know, and don't remember it at all, but I did that. And he still wanted, he was like, so are you going to answer the question? And I was like, yes. Okay. I will be your girlfriend, right? But the next day...
Why so many but? Why are you hurting this Mark? What did Mark do to you?
I'm telling you, went through a lot of trials, okay?
Oh my gosh, Mark. Hey, come here. I'll give you a hug. I'll give you a better hug than your girl.
Next day, I took it back. Okay?
You took what back?
I took the title back. And I was like, can we just date exclusively? It felt too soon. I only knew him for like 8 days. I was like, I felt like it was too rushed and I wasn't ready for it, you know? And the thing is, keep this in mind, when we matched on Hinge, by the way.
Okay.
When we matched on Hinge, I told him I'm not really ready for a relationship. Can we just be friends, you know? So for a whole month, we were friends first. And I just never thought he was even going to ask me out, you know? And when he asked me, it was after church. I was very emotional. I was crying when a pastor was praying for me, asking for a prayer request, you know? And I didn't expect him to ask me out. I didn't expect to be in a relationship with him. I didn't expect any of it. And the day he asked me out, he told me that he didn't sleep at all. And at 4 a.m., like, he woke up and he felt like God told him to ask me out. Like, he was very anxious about it. And when he was asking me out, the only things he remembered was, Christy, I really like you. I really want to take you on a date. And I think the Holy Spirit just worked with him the rest of the day because he doesn't remember a single thing he said after, but I do, you know? And so I'm just saying, like, our relationship is not normal whatsoever.
I mean, what's normal? Let's be real. What's normal, though?
And so, yes, there's a lot of up and downs, right? And that's why I asked him to be my boyfriend. And I'm telling him that
Did he interview you?
No.
See? I got you, Mark. I got your back.
Don't do this.
I got your back, man. See? No 12 questions
flaws,
up in here.
Okay.
No questions up in here.
But yeah, that's and then he met my mom recently.
How was that?
My mom's very Asian, so he was trying to find every flaw in him possible.
I'm so sorry, man. Mark, you're a good guy. Hook a Mark, man.
Everyone thinks he's a good guy.
Oh
like,
my
even
God.
just showing him a picture to my friends, everyone knows he's a good guy.
Why you put this so much trust with him, man?
No, but he tried to break it off with me.
He broke the. Wait, Mark. Okay, now I gotta step back now. Wait, why?
So like, oh my gosh. So like, I think it was a week before I even asked him to be my boyfriend.
Okay.
I think that because of all the trials that we were going through, he felt like maybe he wasn't good for me. So then, because it was just so many ups and downs that we were both going through, and then this was right before his LSATs too, so he barely even got to study. Think about that, you know. And I was trying to break it off because I felt like I wasn't good for him.
So both of you guys were questioning it.
Here and there, but we didn't want to give up. We don't know why. It just felt like God wanted us to be together, but we're being spiritually attacked like nonstop. But for some reason, we want to be together. So when he tried to end things, I tried to save it. I was fighting.
So does that mean when you were questioning, was he trying to also save it then?
Yes.
Okay.
So when I try to break things off, like after the whole thing, like he was like, no, I'm not letting you. And then when he tried to break it off, I was like, no, I'm not letting you. So like we're fighters. We're fighters, which is good. You
Sounds
want two
like my
fighters.
Starbucks order. We're not fighters. It's like those employees. Hey, I got your Starbucks drink. I got you. Thank you for not letting me go. That made my day. I cried a little bit when I do receive my chocolate croissant. So thank you for whoever completed my order. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
Okay, I don't know why I said that. I just felt like I needed to show some gratitude. You know, thank you, Brandon Lake. That's your song, you know. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just that, you know, like, would you say that now you're in safe to assume, in a godly-centered relationship? Like, do you feel like you have a better understanding of what that is now then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, like, God is showing you through this relationship then?
Wow. That's a loaded question.
Hey, that's the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit made me more like Jesus.
I think he's showing me something that I never thought I could have. Yeah. I've never had a dad. I've always wanted family, but never knew what that was. And my mom, growing up, she never really took care of me. I took care of myself. And I think, like, Mark always saying, like, let me help you. At first, when he said that statement, I was like, I don't need help. And do everything myself.
Like very independent.
I was like, what do you mean? He was like, let me help you. I was like, I don't need help. I was saying that to him. He was like, but I think I later understood what he meant was like, just share with me your burdens. And I want to take it with you. I want to be there for you. And I was like, wow. Like, I've never had a relationship like that. You know? And I think, like, in the community with your brothers and sisters, they always want to be there for you. Whenever you go through a trial, whenever you go through something, you pray with each other. Like, during life groups one time, I was sharing about my sexual assault story, and because we were separating to women and men, like, we separated. All the women, each one prayed for me. They held my hand, and they all prayed for me. And I'm like, that's a Christ-centered relationship. Not just with a significant other. But just praying with each other. You know, when I was sharing, every time I shared like a really difficult story to Mark, he would pray with me after. He would talk about how God was in it. He was like, did you think about that? And he would share this story of Job to me. He would share different passages that he's learned throughout his life. And he's brought Christ every time in our relationship. And it just feels so amazing. Because for me, my mom... She's Christian, I know that, but she's not in the community. She doesn't read the Bible. And so I don't have that community at home. I don't have that fellowship at home. Like, when we eat out, I'm the one praying. My mom kind of, like, waits for me to finish praying, and then we eat. Like, I think that I need a man that can do that with me. Before we share a meal, either I pray or he pray. We pray together, you know. And sometimes we go through trials, we pray at the very end. You know, after dinner, sometimes when we break things off, when we do things like that, we pray after. You know, like, we're gonna go through a lot of trials in life. We need to be fighters in a way, right? We pray. That what gives us strength, gives us clarity, and then we ask pastors to help us with prayer requests, you know, with our relationship. We pray for each other, you know. Like, we don't pray for ourselves a lot of times. And it's like, that's a Christ-centered relationship. Just praying for each other, letting God be in the center. Let God help us just really find clarity. And I think that just, even if, quote-unquote, maybe we weren't supposed to be together, but how can that be if we constantly try to make it work? You know? I think there was something said, like, soulmates are not found, they're made. I heard that before. And I think that you make a relationship work, and you continuously fight for it. You continuously just, like, grow together and help each other and love each other and everything, you know. And it's like that. That's how it feels being with him.
How
does that sound to you?
Like,
because, like, I think I share a lot. How does that sound to you? How is that received? Like, now I want to know.
I think, like, for me, well, like, I wasn't born Christian.
I wasn't either,
You know, and I gave my life to Christ, like, 2018, 2019.
Oh, same.
Yeah. Oh, for real? That's crazy. That's weird. Not in a bad way, but wow. Okay.
Yeah, I got baptized 2020, and then COVID lockdown next day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. Wow, that's crazy. I'm just trying to process that right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, like, I pray too with intention. You know, when I pray, like, it's all about solitude with my time with God. I think, like, I know God is creating that, like, godly woman out there somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
And then there are times that I'm like, where is she, right? And then, like, but I'm like, nope, it's not about the reward, because the reward is not about what he provides. The reward is the heaven, is him. He is the reward. It's the kingdom, right? It's not about the money. It's not about this podcast. It's not about the clothes. All these things will burn one day. It's more about, like, at the end of the day, we have the access to the kingdom because of he sacrificed his son for us. And I think when you look at that in a more in-depth meaning of how much he loves us, it gives you in a certain perspective of like, man, like, I'm not chained because I'm already been free. It's not about how much followers or friends or food. I love food. I love constantly eating Korean barbecue, so I would like to eat a lot of samgyeopsal. So I'm like, I want more pork belly. So it's like,
I just ate Korean food, but
hey, Korean food is fire though. I just cry when I eat Korean barbecue. I think I'm Korean.
Are you always crying?
Yeah, I just okay. This episode just sounds sad. I promise I'm not sad. It just tears of joy. No, it's just that like how I'm receiving that is that I just have this sense of like feeling of that. I think that what you are experiencing is truthful and it's honest. And I think that when I want to talk about the fact that when Mark wanted to help you, right? I don't know about you, but I think doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, boy or girl, it's hard to accept help from people because it's like, I don't know what your intentions are. Are you going to stab me in the back? Because I had those too. I'm like, that's why, like, for me, I'm like you. I like to have a small group. One-on-ones are the best because I'm like, I get to know you and you only, not like 10,000 people, right? Because if it's 10,000 people, you always got to be watchful. Yeah. But when you have your close-knit people who you trust, but also who is a godly center of friendship or in that fellowship with, you have a better understanding what God's family is. You know, it's not about always criticizing people. It's about showing faithfulness to God because we're supposed to be Christ-like. Mm-hmm. And when you become Christ-like and accepting the fact that Jesus was also 100% human, he was a sinless man, mm-hmm. he relates to us. Yeah. He understands what we go through.
It's so terrible.
You know?
The things he went through.
Yeah, and then it's like so he was whipped. He was mocked, you know, and let's be honest, we all did that, you know, we all mocked him before, let's be real, right? But he is unconditional love. Yeah. And I think that when you see in that kind of lens, and we're supposed to be like that, it gives you a sense of hope, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think what you and my boy Mark, hey, what's up, boo boo? But like, I think that with your relationship with Mark, it's a testimony of fruitfulness, but also a seed that God's been planting since day one. Because you wouldn't appreciate it and understand that if it wasn't for your relationship with your mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think like the questions you're asked, like, I want a godly man, I want a family. You know, but you want to ask those questions if it wasn't for God planning. You need to go through these things first.
The thing is, I told you briefly that like he never went on like a date and he never had a relationship before me.
Yeah.
I think that he was always waiting for someone like me. He always said, like, even now, like yesterday, he was saying that he feels so lucky because he has always wanted someone like me, like someone in business, well dressed, like, ambitious, all of these things, competitive, like everything that he wants, like I embody the things that he wants. I think he's always waiting for me, but I was never really ready for him. So then all of a sudden, I think when I was ready, so the timing of when he came back, because he lived in Vegas for 2 years, he moved back in March, and I hopped back on Hinge in March.
Whoa.
So timing wise,
in March, I was not in that for sure.
we met at a time where we were both ready to meet each other, but for me, I just want to be friends. Because I just was not ready for a relationship. And I think that's so much better to start off as friends first. And so we started off as friends for a month and built a little bit of trust first. Because trust is really hard to give for me. Like, I can't with all the bullying that went through in my life and everything. And
have you surrendered that to God? Are you still holding on to that pain, if you don't mind me asking, about the bullying thing?
I don't think so. It's more like I just know how I am now because of everything. Yeah. I'm a lot more selective on who I want in my life because of all the things that happened. Yeah. And I just know that high school is high school at the end of the day. I
mean, high school, we're like, let's be honest, we're just a bunch of people who just don't like people in high school. Let's be real. We don't like people.
That was literally what happened, I think. There was a huge rumor that, like, I cheated on a placement exam or something. I had to retake it.
I suck at placement exam. I wouldn't even cheat because I know I was going to fail.
Yeah, I had to retake it, and then I retook it. Then I told, like, the teacher, I was like, I don't want to be in this class. Everyone's going to think that I cheated to get in. Okay, and then she didn't listen to me, and she put it in my schedule regardless. And then because, like, I'm pretty sure she called my name, but I didn't go to class. I went to the counselor and begged them to remove that class. I would like
to know which teacher, since we went to the same high school. We can bleep it out.
Calculus, AB.
Bro, I didn't even do calculus, yo. I didn't do calculus.
I don't remember her name. She's the old lady.
Old lady? Yo, most of the teachers are there old, though. I'm sorry.
I don't remember her name. I generally don't remember her name. But then I had to beg the counselor to remove the class. And they're like, are you sure, Christy? Like, everyone wants to get into calculus AB. Like, everyone, like...
Who's everyone? I didn't.
It will be good for college. Like, Christy, don't remove it. Like, my counselor was telling me, like, it was just literally, don't let these rumors get in the way of your career and your, like, future, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I was just like, no. If I'm going to be in there, I'm going to be miserable. Like, I literally thought I was going to be miserable. Yeah. And what happened, I became, like, Miss Tag. It's T-A instead. Miss Tag, I remember. Miss Tag, I remember. And I love Miss Tag. And, like, I bought her Starbucks every Wednesday and stuff. It was great. Like, I loved her. And we got lunch, like, a couple months ago.
Say what?
Like, I caught up with her.
What's up, Miss Tag? What up? What?
The way she met her boyfriend's amazing. D&D, it was great.
For real?
Yeah. So it's just I think like it's just I don't know. I think that we met at a good time.
Yeah.
Me and Mark. Yeah.
Do you think that? Actually, I want to run this back. Actually. I want to talk about your relationship with your mom, because I was raised with a single mom also.
You were?
Oh, yeah. Parents divorce, yo. Yeah, parents divorce.
Okay.
I like the pity sound. You're like, oh, I don't know what to say about that.
We have to end with talking about food, by the way.
It's cool.
We have to talk about food at the very end.
I'd probably cry.
Okay.
You just talk. I just cry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it usually works. No, it's just that, like, you know, growing up, parents divorce. First memory, my dad dipped, you know. Just growing up, my sister and myself and my mom. And from time to time, babysitters, aunts. And I'm the only Christian in the fam. My dad is also like your mom. He's Christian, but he doesn't read the Bible, I'm assuming. And I don't know. It's interesting. I don't talk to him that much, though. Yeah. 2018 was the first time I met him in a while. So my first memory of him was him leaving when I was a kid. And then my first actual, like, memory was when I went back to China, Kunming, in 2018 after I graduated from high school. And that was crazy. So it's just that, like, I want to talk about the single mom and your relationship because I relate to that.
I met my...
How what?
Okay, so...
Wait, you don't have to if you don't want
to.
It's
funny, though.
Okay,
it's
okay,
really
cool,
funny.
cool.
I think was I 6? I think I was 6 when I first met my dad. The only time, actually, I've ever met my dad was when I was 6.
Okay.
I'm a very sassy little girl, okay?
Do you think you're still sassy?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
But, like, I was sitting in, like, a table. All my half-siblings were there. Because he's had, like, multiple women that he's done things with, and they all had, a kid. Very terrible man, in my opinion. I saw him, and I told my mom, I need to go to the restroom. So I took my mom to the restroom. And as we were walking there, I asked my mom, why is he so ugly? That was the first thing I said when I met my dad.
Wait, you said it too.
And my mom, I'm sassy, okay? I'm honest.
No, I'm just laughing. I'm just processing. I would never say that to my dad because I'm afraid to get
I didn't say it to my dad. I said it to my mom.
I would still be afraid because my mom would still want me.
And what my mom said after, she was like, you look exactly like him. What are you talking about? And I was like,
hey.
No, I don't. And then, like, my mom literally is like, his face, your face. the same. And I was just like, no, I don't see it. But I think when little kids, they just see something. They see what's on the inside very fast.
Oh, yeah.
You know, kids, they know if a person in front of them is good or bad. I think when I was 6, I just knew he was a bad person. But I said he was ugly. I think I said that he was ugly heart. Not just physically, just like the heart.
I'm sorry. You just disembodied somebody. Your father. He's like, he's not ugly physically, but like, he's ugly in his heart too. I was like, oh my gosh, so much.
I'm sorry, but like, think about it. All my half siblings at the table had a different mother.
Right.
Think about that. I think that just even though I didn't know him, he was just bad. I just knew that he was a bad man.
Yeah.
You know, each sibling was a couple years apart. Like, you know, and we were all sitting in a table together.
Yeah.
Now looking back, I knew he was a bad man.
Do you still think about that, like him now? About?
Oh no, he tries to always wish me happy birthday, everything. I just ignore it. You know, it's just I don't have a dad. My mom was my mom and dad. She had to take care of me. It was really hard. So it's like he doesn't exist. I don't need him. I don't even know who he is.
Do you think you forgave him yet or no?
I don't think I've held a grudge or forgiven him. I just literally pretend he doesn't exist. That's just it. I never grew up with him. I don't know who he is. I don't need to know. It's kind of like that. Yeah. I just have a mom, and that's the only thing I need. It's kind of like that. Yeah. It's a weird thing, but it's like I don't hate him. I don't love him. I don't feel anything towards him. It's like he's just another person in this world to me. Yeah. Even though he's my blood, but he's not family. It's kind of like that.
Right. I feel that.
Yeah.
It's you know, like, you know, growing up, I had a kidney transplant too.
Oh.
So I have like 2 belly buttons. I was like, make a joke about it. You know, I'm like, what's up? I look like SpongeBob SquarePants right now. Yo, what's up? And sorry, I like to use humor. It just disembodies everything, awkwardness, you know?
Yes.
And like with my dad, you know, for, you know, that time span of like not doing the podcast, like 4 or 5 months, I wouldn't say I hate my dad or I dislike him, but some part of me like felt sorry for him, not in a pity way, but it's more like, because growing up, you know, like I said, my mom and dad, you know, divorced, but when there's divorce happens, a lot of people like to assume one person caused it all.
It's always 2.
You know, it's always 2, right? And for me, I think when people are separated, it could be salvageable. It could be like, it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. It could be like just peace. I think for me, right? But it could be hard because it depends on case by case, right? So it's just that, like, from my perspective, just with my dad, instead of like what God has been teaching me personally, for me, is that instead of like you left the family, you left mom and dad, how dare you? Because I felt like that doesn't create more peace. That just creates more division. Personally, for me, I'm just blaming him, and I'm like, man, I don't think God would want me to do that, right? Because if you think about it in Acts, right? I just talked about Zeke. What was it? It was like King Saul, right? King Saul, about yeah, right? The King Saul killing the Christians, or yeah. So I was talking about with the team is that, like, King Saul in Book of Acts, not only that was a chapter talks about the foundation of the church, but King Saul killed 2,000 or something, a lot of like innocent Christians, right?
I remember this, yeah.
And then I'm like, yo, that's a lot of people, you know, that's a lot of power and a lot of greed that was like in here, right? Because I truly think when people do bad stuff, it starts with the heart. You know, if someone's like, I remember Johnny was sitting where you're sitting at, and he was saying, like, if someone's smoking and you're saying, oh, you're smoking, that's bad, right? That's just criticizing judgment rather than be like, I think that kid is smoking, I think they know it's bad. You know, like, imagine you're smoking and I'm like, you're bad. That doesn't sound hopeful, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of people that smoke, there's something else within them.
Exactly.
So that's another thing.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it could be like a coping mechanism, because not because they don't want to, it's just that they weren't shown a different route. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like, with my dad, it's just that I realized that, like, I have a half brother, I have a step brother, you know, and I'm just at this point that, like, like, I remember when I went back to China in 2018, I forgave my dad. Because it's just that, like, at the end of the day, I'm a child of God. And I'm supposed to be like Christ. Like, if I hold all this grudge, all this, like, hatefulness, that doesn't do any good to me, person for me. And plus, I don't think God would be happy if I even held this, because he'd be like, why are you not letting yourself free?
Yeah.
You know, like, I already made you free. You're my sheep. He's your shepherd. How come you're not giving him permission just to fix you and mold you, right? And then when I looked at him, like, I looked at my dad, and I'm like, yo, I forgive you. It's okay.
Why did they divorce?
Honestly, I don't know.
You don't know?
My sister does, but I don't want to ask. Not because I'm afraid to know the truth. It's just that, like, that's their business.
Yeah.
You know? Some things, like, I think knowing too much could be also bad, low-key. You know what I mean? Because even if I ask, like, why am I digging the past? Because, like, will digging the past help me living right now? Right? Will it truly help me? Certain things maybe, but certain things should be kept under, I think. You know? Even if I know, sure I know, but what happens next? You know, like, will it create more chaos? Maybe. Will it help me understand some reasons? Maybe. But I don't want to risk that maybe, because that's, like, my salvation right there. You know what I mean? So it's just that, like, I had so much hate to my mom too, because I'm like, she was working all the time. My sister relationship, not that great. That's why I got a dog. I'm not saying, okay, that sounds pretty bad when I just said that. I love you, sis. I'm so sorry. No, it's just that, like, how can I say it? It's just that when you start putting your life to Christ, you start doing the things that you don't want to do because it's good for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
And it's like working out. I don't want to work out, but I know I gotta. You know, I love my knees. You know, it's one of the ways I get taller. Still hasn't worked. Drink milk? That's a lie. I'm pretty sure that's a lie. Search your facts. I drink milk. My mom always says this. Drink milk. Go. It will help you grow like a tree. Yeah. Nope.
You don't need milk.
Yeah, I don't need milk. I just need God.
I try to do it. Need.
Yeah.
You don't need.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I knew that joke. Yeah. I got that. You know, it was just right there in my head. You feel me? I'm so sorry. Mark, will you come here? She's being mean to me. No, but it's just
Mark can't save you.
Mark, yes, you can. Book a Mark, you're going to save. No, but I think one of the questions that I want to ask you, going back to your mom, is that, like, have you ever asked how she feels about the separation between your mom and your dad?
Oh, I don't need to ask. My mom,
she just rambles.
I'm assuming. She's so angry. Like, she tells me everything. My mom and I are super close, extremely close. She tells me everything. And I actually became her therapist. So the thing
that's not healthy.
I know. I know. When you just said, when you're a godly person, you do things that you don't want to do to help yourself. That's what I did. I learned psychology. I learned neurology. I learned the study of the brain, everything.
I learned a thing called Starbucks.
I helped my mom. I during COVID, I think COVID needed to happen in my life, if I'm being honest. I know everyone didn't want to.
I needed
COVID because that was the time when I finally got to know my mom. I didn't know my mom before COVID. I became her therapist. I remember asking a question. She was yelling at me, telling me, "Why are you asking me all of this?" But it's because I've been through therapy. I know how it works. So then the whole entire year and a half, I became her therapist in a way, without knowing. Because I'm just a person who likes to get to know people. I think you're the same. You just like to get to know people. You ask questions, right?
I mean, some days I like to keep it to myself. I'm gonna be real. I work with kids every day.
Oh well, yeah. For kids.
Yeah.
But like my mom, like I just wanted to understand her, get to know her, because like I went through so much and I just didn't know why I had to go through all of it, all the moving nonstop. I moved so much. Oh, you moved a lot too?
Yeah. Oh, same.
Yeah, and so I wanted to get to know her, and I wanted to like just understand her as a person. So now, present day, like she tells me a lot of things. It's very good, but I think forgiving her is still something that I'm still working on.
Okay.
Because I went to Catalina Island during an InterVarsity retreat, I don't know if you know InterVarsity, but
I don't know. That sounds very high level. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is.
InterVarsity is like a lot of like colleges has this club. It's like they go to retreat and stuff in Catalina Island.
Okay.
Like UCLA has it, Chapman, USC, like Cal State, Fullerton. Like all of these colleges has InterVarsity, right? And went to the retreat, and one of the messages was forgiving your parents. And I think that after hearing that message, I felt like I have never forgiven my mom. And after coming back from that retreat, I was like, I need to forgive my mom in order to live a good life, to understand her and understand everything she sacrificed to be with and receive it, you know, and everything. And so forgiving her helps me now to understand and receive the love that she gives me, because she didn't grow up with parents. She grew up kind of like almost like an orphan of sorts, you know. And so
wait, so if she's an orphan, was she orphan here or?
That's something I don't want to talk about.
Oh, okay, it's cool.
But like, I'm just trying to explain that she doesn't know how to be a parent, and she doesn't actually like kids. It's like a whole big thing, right? I'm like, why did you have me if you don't like kids? Like, it's just she didn't know how to take care of me, all of these things. So forgiving her was extremely hard. And so it was being her therapist, forgiving her, and now still trying to forgive her and still being her therapist and kind of like really being a good daughter as well. I have a lot of pressure on myself because she wants me to be a very perfect daughter, and I've noticed that.
But there's no such thing as perfect though.
I think in her eyes, what perfect just means is that I'm happy.
Okay.
And that I have found a career where I enjoy it. And I have a boyfriend or a man in my life that takes care of me, and that she doesn't have to worry about me. For her, that's perfect. And I think that that's a really great way of seeing what perfect is. It just means that she can, and the fifth one, actually the first thing that she always prays about, the only thing she prays about is that let God help me walk the path that he wants me to walk. So
Amen.
that's
Amen.
the perfect thing that she wants. Just for me to have, just because she wants to give my life to God, basically, to give me as a daughter to him. And so like for her, that's perfect.
Right.
Yeah. So I believe that I am doing all of that.
Do you feel pressure?
Good way.
To live that, or
sometimes I think the career one is the biggest one.
Career?
Because
I think
have
that's
no
most
idea what
people though in our ages though.
It's hard. It's especially starting my own business, everything. That's really hard, you know.
No, I think it's relatable. A lot of our ages in our 20s, careers and relationships are like the top two. I would say like hard
conversation starters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it's like, yo, you like food? That's it. It's like, I would, if I ask a girl, I would be like, I wouldn't even ask like, yo, you single? For me, it's like, you like Korean barbecue? You like food? Because I love food. I think food brings people together.
Yeah, it does. You know, that's why I have a food account on Instagram.
You just cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
just cry.
Yeah, that's my mental stressor right there.
Yeah.
You just eat and you're like, wow, thank you for the so long time, you know? Thank you for this bibimbap, you feel me? And next thing you know, you start doing your dance and you realize you're in public and you're like, oh my gosh.
You have a happy food dance?
I do. Crying is part of it. I'm just like tearing. I'm like, what?
I literally just holding my chopstick. I'm like,
oh, I'm like, what? Foo, yummy.
That's embarrassing. I gotta say, that's
cool. No. Okay. So, anyways,
I'm glad we've never shared a meal because that's
okay. Oh, I was kidding. Mark, I'll pray for you.
He loves everything I eat and my cooking too.
You cook?
Of course I do. I was gonna go to culinary school.
Hey, Mark. Blink twice if you need help. Blink twice if you need help. It's okay. It's okay to say no if you don't like someone's cooking. I'm gonna just put that out there. What?
He loves my cooking.
Yeah.
You're terrible.
No, I think it's as, you know, Mark, I got you. Yo, DM me. I got you, bro. Yeah. Don't worry. But anyways,
I'm cutting that out.
No, we're editing it. Z, keep that in. No, before we end the podcast, and Nathan, it's okay, we can run over time because I want to ask this properly. Is that first and foremost, what we're doing each episode from season 2, we're having each guest write a question for the next guest. So Josh wrote a question for you, and then Nathan can give it to you. And I forgot what the question is, and you can read the question and answer it, And after when you answer it, I would love to, or is it on the back side? I think it's on the back side or the other side. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. Okay. And then if you read that question and you could answer it however you want, and then when you finish, you can write your own question for the next guest for episode 13. You could insult his handwriting skills if you want for Josh, because I was like, oh my gosh, I love you, dude, but still.
Oh, I can read it. It says, how has living in LA affected your view of church?
That's a good question. Thank you, Josh, for that question.
When I went to New Jersey, it was very different. In LA, I think, because I'm just such a city girl, you get like the city vibes. Bunch of like outings, you know, that kind of helps you bond. We can talk about just life in the city. And I think that we all understand also all the hardships, food insecurity in LA. We can bring up a lot of financial kind of like stresses because we live in LA. Safety, we can talk about that and relate to it. And I think there's a lot of different churches in LA as well. So finding the right one is extremely difficult. And being in LA, it's just so much diversity, so many options. So affected my view of church. I guess just like the abundance is real and finding the right one and sticking to it, because I think LA, because it's a city, you can always change your mind. You can always change your mind, try something new, give something like maybe a day or two, and then next day, oh, they do something wrong the day of, try a different one. Constantly switching, you know. I think that church, you're supposed to really give it a chance. You're supposed to like go to one and really stick to it and like actually feel it out and try it. You know, maybe the first time in the sermon, like sometimes it hits you, sometimes it doesn't, you know.
And that's okay.
You can't let that like affect your like church hop, you know, because I church hopped a lot. And so I think that when you're in the city, especially a city like LA with so many options and stuff, it's very easy to church hop, especially for a church hopper, to like try each church once, when in reality you should be trying each one at least for a whole month and really giving it a chance, unless it really feels wrong. Like maybe the denomination's just completely off, or like you feel the same traumas as before churches, something like that. But like I think it's always good to give it like a month. If you have a good sense, like, oh, maybe it works out, you know. So that was kind of like my view of church. I think that just there's a lot of options in LA, and the people there are all very different. Find a good sense of community that really makes sense to you. You know, there's a lot of churches that are against homosexuality and all of that. If you're for it or don't have anything against it, finding a church that has that would be very good for you. But like if you are, you know, it depends on how traditional or how like, you know, you want to be. That's kind of like, because it's so diverse, you have a lot of options, which is really good. I think that in LA you get a lot of options, you get to try a lot of different things, same as food, you know. So yeah, I think that is the best way I can answer that.
And then lastly, before you write your question, in this podcast for season 2, we're using one of the Beatitudes. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. So my last question to you is, when was the last time it was difficult for you to become a peacemaker?
Can you explain peacemaker?
I would say, in my point of view, is, let's say if I have a dispute with someone, right? It's either do I choose to be the one who's constantly continuing the dispute or the situation, or will I be the one, hey, let me listen to you out. What's been going on? How can we, or how can I better myself to resolve this conflict issue that we're having? So that, I would say, that's how I define a peacemaker, because being a peacemaker is difficult, I would say, personally.
Yeah. I think this has to definitely be with my mom. So today, literally.
Oh, literally. Oh, okay.
So lately her tire pressure, like her left rear tire, has always been losing air, and I think it's something with either the sensor or something, right? And she was like yelling at the tire or Tesla or just like the filler or something. She's just like yelling at it. I'm like, Mom, why are you always yelling at things? Like sometimes maybe it's your own fault, or maybe maybe you just need to change it. You know, you don't have to be angry. If I said that to
my mom, I would not have a home. If I said that, my mom would disown me right away.
And I was just like, you're always yelling at things. Like if someone's walking weirdly, or like a car cuts you off or something, I was like, why are you always yelling at things, you know? And then my mom just laughed at it. She was just like, I can yell at things, you know, it's okay. But I know my mom. If I bring things up like that and just help her find peace, because she's not aware that she's yelling. That's the thing. And so it took me a while to get to this point, of course, right? Where I'm able to talk like this to her.
Right.
It was during COVID, being her therapist, all of these things that got me to a situation where I'm able to speak like this to her.
Right.
But I was just literally asking, like, why are you yelling? And then I created peace within her that, like, sometimes it's just that's the situation.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can really do. And I immediately booked her a service appointment with Tesla and everything. And they're going to come check it. She's going to have all of it fixed and everything. But I was just like, you could have handled it very calmly. You didn't have to yell. And she was like, that's true. And
I felt like if I did that, my mom was like, what you mean calm? I am calm. My mom would definitely say that.
She said that at first. She was just like, I'm not always yelling at things. You just think I'm yelling because I'm Cantonese and I sound aggressive. And I was just like,
that's so relatable.
I was just like, no, Mom, you're yelling. You really are. You're upset, you know. And she's like, oh, I didn't see it that way. You know. So I think just pointing it out and that gave her a little bit of peace in herself. That like, oh yeah, I do react like that sometimes. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that literally was a couple hours ago.
Yeah. Whoa.
So,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, Christy, thank you. Thank you so much for just like entrusting me and Zeke, Nathan, and Alyssa just to not only listen what your upbringing is like, but also just like at the end of the day, just being stewards, right?
Yeah.
And spreading the gospel and spreading his wisdom and his knowledge. And I personally believe there's a purpose for everything, you know? There's a purpose why you're here. There's a purpose why Mark is your boyfriend, you know? There's a purpose one day Mark and I are going to eat without you. What's up, Mark? Is he tall?
He's 5'7".
Okay, he's tall. Okay. That's like one of the best ways to answer. Is he tall? He's 5'7". He's 6 feet. I was like, you could have said yes, but it's fine. No, but truly, on a serious note, thank you so much for being on this. I think that it takes a lot of not only strength to talk what you shared, but I think it takes more of a effort just to be brave and be courageous in the field where you are. And yeah, so thank you so much. And I just hope that you and Mark are not only going to be in a fruitful relationship later on, but I also pray that realizing at the end it wouldn't happen if it wasn't for God. I pray that you have that one-on-one intimate relationship with God too. So so with anybody who's listening, thank you so much. I love you guys, and check you out next time. Deuce.
Bye.
Follow these socials: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. The support really means a lot. Thank you so much. Peace.